It's episode 1260, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, it's our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And once again, it's just the three of us this week. Listeners, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've been intentional that through the summer, we've had more three-person episodes than 4 or 5. So that may be a signal of things to come. Rotating. I mean, we'll still have Derek and everybody, but Marty. But, it's easier to edit with 3 people. I'll just be honest with you.
It's more nimble.
Yeah, 4 people trying to crack a joke is a lot of chaos. So anyway, how are y'all doing? How's your summers? Is it sweltering where you are? Because it's sweltering. We're in Florida
full
right
heat. Are they doing the heat dome this year? I feel like last year all we heard about was the heat dome. Is that happening again? Do you remember that? I
know it's the East Coast and Midwest, like Minnesota and East kind of a thing. Yeah. So all of our West Coast listeners are like, oh, it's lovely in 78 right now, I'm sure.
The worst. Well, I've been dog sitting for friends this week. And so I'm having to really be out in the heat walking these precious little dogs. And my friends that I'm watching them for are in Alaska right now. And they were asking about the heat, how it's been, how the dogs are doing. And I was like, it's miserable. It's like,
just say one's dead, but the other one made it. So we're good.
Yeah.
But I won't tell you which one.
You'll find out when you walk up your front walkway when you get home.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's the one that doesn't have as much fur because the other, it's very hot.
But we were I was looking at the weather yesterday and it's 98 degrees in Nashville. But then you look at, with all the humidity, what it actually feels like, 111 degrees.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they're in 70 degree weather in Alaska. And I was so mad.
Well, that's the thing too, man, is this feels like deal. This whole situation, we need a better temperature thing because
Thank you. I was literally saying this to Emily 2 days ago.
Talking about this,
because literally there was a headline on a national thing that said Tampa, Florida, which is 2 hours from here.
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida sets an all-time record for the first time in recorded history. It hit 100 degrees. Okay. Yeah. Because what people don't understand about Florida is our hottest month is August. Yeah. And the average high in August is 92.
Yeah.
We just have humidity. So the perception is it's super hot, but we look at the country and it's 123 out in Texas. And we're like, what in the world? Anyway, but this whole feels like. So the 100 feels like 112. I'm like, then it's 112.
Thank you. What are you measuring?
Right.
Okay. So, because I have friends that are into running, mm-hmm. and they talk about the dew point all the time. I can't go running today. Dew point's too high. All right. Yeah. So that's a factor. But here's why this is so antiquated, because my understanding of how we measure temperature is the way that it affects the chemical mercury in a glass tube, right? That is how we measure it. Okay. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, that's what a thermometer is. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes, you are correct. That is how we measure temperature.
But that seems like we don't have mercury in our bodies. In fact, mercury is poison. Okay. So why don't, if they tell me the temperature and the variance between what they're telling me it is, how it affects an arbitrary chemical in a glass tube, right? In the variance of what it actually feels like to what my body it affects, it's 15 degrees. Why don't we just make a new system here?
It's 112. It's not 100. It's 112.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. If it feels like 112, it's 112.
And how do they calculate the feels like? Do they just have the weather guys you go tell me what it feels like?
Because the weird thing, when we were talking about this, it was maybe it's these other factors, humidity, sunlight, make it feel like 112. But if you're in the shade with a breeze, mm-hmm. the actual air blowing over your skin is the lower temperature. But I'm going, if you left your phone out in the sun, it's going to be a lot more than 112. It's, you know what I mean? It's going to cook up to 170. It's going to overheat. So then the sun makes it feels like even hotter. And why does my car say it's 93 degrees and the temperature on my app says it's 84? My car feels differently than the weather service. I mean,
yeah. And how are they calculating this feels like? It feels very unscientific. I think we just need to go old school. I think here, I have the common sense party. You guys know about this, where I'm going to rethink our social and political system. Sure. So here's my idea. because we need to set the gauge. Like it's ridiculous. It's all over the place. Okay. You're telling me what an arbitrary thing like it feels. We need to elect a single person. Okay. This is their whole job. All right. It's an elected official. And each town has to have one. All right. And this person's job is to go outside with his or her eyes closed and just stand there for like 10 minutes every day. And you come in and tell us this is the human temperature. Okay. Tell me how cold it is to this person that we all agree with a few months. We're going to get pretty locked in. Oh, it's like, temperature Bill or whatever, who it is in your town. Mm-hmm. I know if he's saying it's 40, it's pretty chilly out, right? If temperature Bill, like it's a single person that just tells us every day based on how people actually perceive temperature, which is the human,
because sunlight, humidity.
I feel like we could even make it even simpler though, because
what could be simpler?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if we're telling the weather, I don't need to know if it's 95 degrees or 105 degrees. It's hot. You can just leave it at that. Like that. It doesn't make a difference. Like even though it's a 10 degree difference, it doesn't matter.
At City Hall, and it just every hour, their job is to go outside, just stand there and report back. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, well, that's what
like a town crier almost.
Yeah, that's what they say.
On the hour, they're going to.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I'm using all these convoluted formulas to tell me what the real temperature is, what it feels like, I don't need to know. Tell me what this person says.
Because think about like winter, right? I have been skiing in Colorado where it's supposedly 28 degrees that day, and we're on the mountain in the sun, and we are like taking our jackets off, wearing t-shirts only because it is hot. But it's technically below freezing, so the snow doesn't melt. And then you're in Florida, and it says it's 50, and you're wearing a parka because the humidity makes it frigid here at 50.
I think this elected official would give you a number, but they would also say it feels like you'd be comfortable with like jeans and a hoodie today.
That's it. Tell me what to wear.
Because that's why I'm checking the weather, honestly.
But maybe they don't have the same comfort level as you. But over a few months, you're like, well, if he says jeans and a hoodie, I'm actually going to throw on a light jacket too. Like
there's a learning curve.
It just gives me something to calibrate to instead of these arbitrary numbers. And I'm like, I don't know,
Because I go to Colorado, I see 28. I am bundling up on the mountain.
Yeah.
And then I am drenched in sweat immediately.
Right. I think there's a better system because right now we're pulling all this data and it's almost meaningless at this point. We have analysis paralysis every morning when we're looking at all these apps. Just send the person out, tell us what to wear.
I also think, how like on Apple Weather, it's like the big number is the technical temperature, and then the little tiny number underneath says feels like. Mm-hmm. Make the feels like the big number. That's the information we need. Is like it's 112 outside. Yikes! No, but the actual technical temperature is 99.
Yeah,
like who cares about the technical? Tell me what it feels like.
Yeah,
lead with that number.
But am I wrong? Isn't that how we measure temperature? Is just its effect on mercury? Is there other things that go into it?
Well, how does a digital thermometer work then? They don't have mercury in it.
You tell me.
You're asking the wrong people these questions.
I don't know.
I think they say
the whole system's broken.
They do lick their finger and they just hold it up to the wind and see like, that feels about like
why don't we have a human, not these devices and convoluted things they're probably using in the medieval times. They're probably more sensical in the medieval times. They actually probably just had the person in town.
They had the town crier. That's what he did. Today is a pants day. That's what he went around.
Throw on an extra sheepskin. It's going to be cold.
Anyway, I wonder what our guest today thinks about that. We have a great show coming up. We talked to Strings and Heart. They're amazing. One of our favorite up and coming bands right now. We were talking to them back actually in the spring and like about plans of what we're going to do with them. And they had a certain number of monthly listeners on Spotify. And we're like, let's wait until they have quadrupled their listenership. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are exploding right now. So you need to know about Strings and Heart. They're coming up. Also, we have One Has to Go at the end of the show. And stay tuned right now. Up next, it's Relevant Buzz. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold. All right, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is this really interesting report from Worship Leader Research about the state of songwriting when it comes to the worship industry right now. They analyzed data from the CCLI Top 100 chart and found a few interesting trends that I want to highlight, specifically three of them. That
Clarify real quick. CCLI is the licensing group that churches use. So when churches sing songs on Sunday, they actually pay a royalty, a performance royalty to the CCLI. The CCLI then distributes it to the label songwriters and performers who created those songs. So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How many churches are actually doing that? Like,
hopefully all of the ones that are singing these songs because they operate in integrity.
Yeah,
I know, but like, but then what constitutes a church, right? If I'm having a Bible study at my house, like 20 people, and they bust out the acoustic. Well, what is though? I
would say something that's incorporated. It would have an LLC or a 501c3 organization, corporation.
So like house churches are not.
They're not filing taxes. House churches aren't filing taxes. Yeah. I think that's fair use. I would say, If you're it's like a sports bar showing cable on TV. They're not paying the same cable rate or playing Sirius XM. They're not paying the same rate as a consumer. They're paying broadcast
but
venue
doesn't it
type
also lead to, again, I'm not trying to derail the slice, but I do feel like there are moments within a worship service, especially if you lean in more sort of traditionally charismatic kind of Pentecostal settings, right? Where there's an improvisation, you'll be quote unquote being led by the Spirit. You know what I mean? You might start singing different bits of this song, that song. You're just kind of flowing with it. At what point is someone tracking how long you're singing this or that? And doesn't that create a little bit of like, the Spirit led me to this place, so now I got to pay royalties to this part. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think the churches that are big enough to have professional worship teams and lighting and a venue are, they're paying their taxes, they're paying their licensing, they're doing it the right way. Radio was self-reported for years. I don't know if it still is, but I remember back in the day, in the early 2000s, we launched an online radio station, relevant.fm.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was the Wild West of internet licensing fees. But in that process of like, how do we do this legally? How do we, whatever, we researched and learned a lot about radio licensing because that was the only comp we had back then. And radios are self-reported. So at the end of every month, we would submit a form, a spreadsheet to the songwriting licensing people of all the songs that we played and how many times they were played on Relevant FM. And then we would, that would calculate our royalty, and then we would pay a fee every month. And radio stations would do the same thing. I would assume churches do the same thing. So
worship leaders, write us in, let us know. I'm curious. Go ahead, Emily. What's the trend?
Okay. Yeah, let's get to the actual trends I wanted to talk about. So the first one is there's actually a really
How do you pay your taxes? Let's get into that real quick. How do you guys file taxes?
Well, and does this group like sue churches that don't like? What's the enforcement?
No, it is a trust thing, just like radio. I mean, like, yes, you could get audited and you're in a lot of trouble.
That's my question. Could they perform an audit if they wanted to.
I think legally that is copyrighted, licensed content.
Yeah.
Like a photo, like anything else that you have to license. Could you steal the photo and get away with it? Probably.
Yeah.
If they audit and find that that photo is not licensed, you could get sued. So sure. I think it's
I'm just curious. I'm just curious if there is a means of enforcement.
Next week, coming up later, we have the CEO of CCLI coming on to explain all this.
And we're randomly calling 6 churches to ask if they're
spot check.
Yeah, it's like the fire marshal showing up. We're going to put him on speaker.
The health inspector. We're not telling you.
We'll put him on speaker with the CEO. All right. Let's.
I do.
We had a secret shopper. We were at your church on Sunday. We took notes. We
undercover CEO. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember growing up, like seeing on our worship slides, they would have a really tiny, like copyright CCLI at the bottom, and
CCLI number. There was always a number, and it would be like copyright integrity music or something like that. Yeah.
So,
well, you were a Baptist. You weren't singing integrity music songs. You were singing copyright Lifeway.
Chris
hymns.
Tomlin.
LifewayHymns.com.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, we're not talking about that. We are talking about what's going on in the 2020s right now.
Get the CEO on now. It's time to start cold calling.
We're never going to get through this.
Sorry. Okay.
This is not where I thought this was going to go when I brought this up.
Sorry, I'm being a surrogate for a listener. Everyone's saying the same thing. Like, did we do this?
Back in the day when we did overhead projectors, transparencies back in the day, like you said, Emily, my church always put the little CCLI number and the copyright information in the bottom corner. Now we've all got the big old screens. Ain't slides anymore. I'm not seeing any of that copyright info.
I'm not seeing it. I'm about to do a lot of self-reporting at my church this week. Actually, I think we sing a lot of our own songs, so that's probably how we get away with it.
No. You sing songs that the Belonging Co., who is a group signed to EMI, and you're singing copy. So your church is paying the copyright enforcement companies.
You got a whole Ponzi scheme going on.
Pay back to the church staff the thing that you guys sang.
So what you're saying is Emily's church worship team is a Ponzi scheme.
They're like, hey, if we write our own songs and sing it, we get paid by the church.
That's why they're always introducing new songs. Yeah. Interesting.
Boom. Yeah.
Figured it out.
Wow.
Well, speaking of new songs, please let me get through this slice. So back in the 2010s, there were 4 distinct powerhouses that made up these top worship songs, and that would be group.
Hold on, let's guess. Passion, Hillsong for sure.
Yeah. And didn't Hillsong waive their CCLI stuff? Wasn't their thing anyone can sing their songs for free? I thought that was their thing for a long time.
I don't know. I really have no idea.
We'll call them up after the CEO.
Hillsong, Bethel. Is Bethel big enough back then? Were they one of them?
They were one of them, yes.
Was Elevation back then, or was that more recent?
No, they were more the tail end of the 2010s, but they were the
okay, so those are the big 4 from the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
Can I name one more? That was Wild Card during that time.
Which one?
Daryl Evans. That guy had an album.
2000s. He's 2000s, not 2010s.
But he had like 10 songs.
Matt Redman, Daryl Evans, those guys.
Chris
Tomlin, that was 2000s.
No,
Chris Tomlin was mid. I've said this story a million times, and I need to get the year right. But there was a year in the mid 2010s, and I don't know if it's 2014, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there, that year, the CCLI reported that they paid out $90 million in royalties to worship artists that were sung at churches. $90 million. In that one year, 70 million of that 90 went to Chris Tomlin. I remember that year because I was like, what? Like, oh, he's got that kind of money? That's crazy. But I remember so Chris Tomlin, but he would have been part of the Passion thing back then. Probably.
I think he started off more individual and then went to Passion.
So maybe that year it was a Passion
Which kind of
thing.
is how the 2000s was a lot of those individual songwriters. 2010s, you get siloed into these 4 big groups. And there's a new thing in the 2020s, which is a small group of songwriters are coming together to write all these big songs. So of the 51 new songs that broke into the CCLI chart from 2020 to 2025, 47 of them were written by the same handful of writers. And that would be Pat Barrett, Phil Wickham, Chris Brown, Chandler Moore, Stephen Furtick, and Brandon Lake. and then obviously a few other guys. But those are like the big names on those songs.
47 of the 51 new songs were written by 5 people.
I was not expecting Chris Brown to be on there. Just joking.
The good Chris Brown.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
You missed 2 weeks. We had the good Chris Brown on a couple weeks ago.
I'm just joking. I know he's a worship artist. Yes.
The good worship Chris Brown. So these handful of guys have most of the songwriting credits on these top worship hits of this decade. And Brandon specifically, kind of similar to the Chris Tomlin, like you were talking about, he has the most co-writing credits out of anyone. 13 of the 51 new songs were co-written by Brandon. So 25% of the worship songs that we're singing in churches today were written by Brandon Lake.
And this is in 2025.
Yes.
Wow. 25% of the songs sung in churches today are written by Brandon Lake. 1
in 4 songs that you're singing at your church, probably written by Brandon Lake.
Wow.
What other trends did it spot of the state of worship today?
One of the ones that I have mixed feelings on this. So as you notice, we've talked a lot about the men that are in these writing rooms. One of the trends noticed that while there are more women in these writing rooms, they're not on the top written songs. So only one woman, Brooke Lidgerward, has written 3 or more top 100 songs this decade.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So the egregious thing is there's barely female representation in the songs that chart, but you just said that there's more women in these writing rooms. How does that?
So the research found that these songs that aren't necessarily breaking out into the top 100, there are more female songwriting. Like there are more female songwriters on these songs. They're just not the top songs breaking out. The top songs breaking out are primarily written by men.
Interesting.
So I have mixed feelings on it because there are more women in there. They're just not getting the top chart.
So the opportunity is there. The doors are opening for women, but the end results don't represent that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's weird. What do we, so back, the 2010s when it was 4, I remember the frustration when it was like 4 churches writing songs for all the churches. I remember that kind of frustration. And now you're saying it's even smaller of a circle, that it's basically 5 people writing 5-6 people writing all of the songs the churches are singing.
Well, to be clear, they're co-writing with people. So it's like,
Brandon it's not like a Brandon Lake song. It's Brandon Lake with Chandler Moore and Phil Wickham wrote this song. Yeah. Okay.
Or even like Brandon Lake with like a smaller artist, but he's in the room, right? His influence is there.
But the interesting thing, I think, is like how it's seeming like this sounds very like Gladwellian, like looking at some sort of like social trend to try to, but like these all are disparate in that like, the church in my neighborhood that I attend, right, will have no connection. It's not like, unless you're under like a major denomination, but even then, I don't think they have like, they mandate worship Sunday morning playlist, right? A lot of these are independent congregations or semi-independent congregations whose selection process for what they're singing on Sunday morning likely happens in somewhat of a vacuum, right? And so that to me is kind of interesting because Cameron, you mentioned like this, kind of, maybe sense of frustration about a limited kind of pool of songs, but all the selection processes are happening independent of each other and likely through their own sort of collaborative, methods. I think that is somewhat interesting. It's not like this is a top-down trend. This seems like there couldn't be anything that would be more bottom-up. You know what I mean? There's
2 things that I'm thinking about that are interesting in the sense of like back in the 2010s, it was kind of like, we're kind of a Bethel-y church, so we're going to sing mainly Bethel songs. Yeah. We're kind of a non-denom Baptist church. We're going to sing mainly Passion songs. So you could find your silo that kind of then heavily influenced your experience. But now it's consolidated even more where these same 6 people are writing 47 of the 51 new songs in the last 5 years. So we're all singing. We're not like picking we're a Bethel-y church or we're a Passion-y church. We're all singing the same songs now. So now there's a homogeny happening, which is interesting. Yeah. I think the second thing that stands out to me is before, Bethel is a local church. Hillsong is a local church. Elevation's a local church. Passion's a local church. So there's pastoral oversight. There's checks and balances, theology. Now it's writing groups who go off to a cabin for a weekend, write what they write, and give it to the label. And the idea of the internal checks and balances for theology and things like that, the oversight, the covering, if you will, of the local church has kind of been eliminated with this new approach. And while it's cool that Brandon Lake came from Bethel and Chandler Moore came from Dallas, and Chris Brown, the good Chris Brown, came from Atlanta from Passion, they're working together and it's unifying the different streams of the body of Christ. The risk is they left out the local church.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they did anything wrong. Don't take those names. I'm not saying, but I'm saying like the model seems riskier to me.
But the thing is, like, we're in the Spotify era, right? Like, theoretically, this should be the most diverse time for music because you have more that can be easily discovered, and independent songwriters have the ability to distribute their music in ways that are more prolific than any time in music industry history.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there is sort of like this, I'm sure some sort of social scientist could look at this and ascertain, what's happening here. Because, I mean, we talked about it last week a little bit, like the ways that, we no longer live in like a monoculture where everyone watches the same thing and can talk about it around the water cooler outside of, I think we identified like poop crews or these little outliers, right? You get
Listen,
it. Like,
if I'm on a poop cruise, I'm talking about it around the water cooler.
What does Netflix have against the cruise industry? Yeah, like half the
someone
stuff.
was on that poop cruise, and that's why they wanted to make the documentary.
Or like some horrible disappearance, or
the villain arc started on the poop cruise.
Yeah, some crime on a cruise ship is like a whole vertical now. But anyway, but my point is,
I will be undeterred. I love cruising. Leave my cruises alone.
My point is, in all these other industries, a monoculture, whether it's film, TV, whatever it is, right, is pretty much dead outside of weird little anomalies that we all kind of share. It's reversed in worship music. The monoculture has never been more monolithic.
Yeah, what, that is interesting. Like that worship is kind of, I mean, there has to be other examples of it. But, yeah, but I wonder kind of like when that shift happened, because it wasn't just like 2025 we all started singing the same songs. Like it's been a shift. I'm curious when that happened, why that happened.
Well, I think it's because Maverick City Music in 2020, they are the ones who started putting the songwriting sessions online, and they were a collection of people. They weren't under a church. Mm-hmm. They Chandler was in Dallas. He'd fly to tape in Atlanta with them. They pulled Naomi in and other collaborators, and then they would bring in the Torwaltz, or they would bring in Rita Springer, or they would bring in Brandon Lake, and they created this thing of like, we're all going to come together representing different churches, and it caught fire. And so it's like all of a sudden now we're seeing this model of collaboration, and how you got a little gospel, you got a little Bethel, you got a little Passion. Ooh, we like this. And I think because of the success of Maverick City Music, our industry is nothing but a copycat industry. Let's do it again, and let's do it again. And and so all these collaborative writing things came together, and it just shifted how worship music was created. I think it goes back to those guys.
The interesting part of that, again, and I'm not a theologian, but think about like, is there some sort of underlying, when there is such commercial incentive to write something that will be adopted in mass, right? Are there long-term spiritual implications of that type of pursuit that may not be like, and again, I'm not trying to read into the artistic motivations or inspiration for any of these artists, but I'm just saying you can see there is a commercial incentive to create worship songs that will have a low barrier of entry for the most amount of people, right? So that it is adopted on the most Sunday mornings and you get paid more, right? What is the spiritual ultimate impact of that type of process? Like if it's not meant to be the most, if they're, like I said, you're incentivizing mass adoption instead of the most challenging, the most spiritually impactful,
I'm with you. And this is now tiered toward the influence of commerce and money on ministry, right? In the Christian industry that we are a part of. We are supported by advertising, and so, it's that thing of how do you protect what's pure and what's ministry motivated versus what's scalable and sustainable financially motivated, so yeah, that's the tension. But
Interesting. Well, there's plenty of other trends and interesting data in that report. You can find it on our site at relevantmagazine.com. Next thing I want to talk about is a little bit of government news that happened this week.
Sorry.
This better be common sense. That's all I can tell you.
It is a new memo that came from the Office of Personnel Management that said that federal employees can now express their faith more openly at work as long as they are not being jerks about it.
Wait, it literally said it, not being jerks about it. What does that mean?
Historically, workplace policies, especially in the public sector, have always kind of leaned more towards like a religious neutrality. Like you can talk about your faith, but they're kind of discouraged just to avoid, potentially offending anyone. Right. But this new memo is saying that you can talk about faith in your workplace. So you can have religious imagery or text on your desk. You can, have public prayer meetings if you want. You don't have to like hide it or, like I said, discourage it anyways. You can invite your coworkers.
So you can have like a lunch prayer meeting, invite your coworkers to your Bible study at lunch. You work at the DMV.
Yeah, and you can't be really penalized for it. You can only be penalized if you are being really aggressive about it and are
like physically aggressive, like pulling people into the Bible study.
That one will also get you there, but just being like aggressive about it, of like, we're not going to talk to you if you don't show up to the prayer. Like you can't like discriminate or.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading the text of it because this is, I was just interested because your description is accurate, by the way, Emily. I was just curious of how they articulated it, Yeah. And it says
the policy, the law itself is the same as recent administrations. Nothing's changed. It's just, whereas religious expression was discouraged under some administrations, it's now being encouraged by this one, right?
Yeah, that's
is that what you're saying, Jesse?
Well, it says during a break, an employee may engage another in a polite discussion on why his faith is correct and why the non-adherent should rethink their religious beliefs. However, if the non-adherent requests such attempts to stop, the employee should honor the request. So it seems like the heart of it isn't so much discussions about faith in general. It seems to be that it's trying to convince someone, that they may be incorrect about their faith discussions. Again, it's interesting. I could see why they would want to address that. I could see like if someone's like trying to deconvert me or something, or tell me I'm wrong, that I would not, where that could be problematic in a workplace. But I could also see the whole idea of like evangelism and conversion is based on the same principal idea. So I could see where it came from, but they are kind of walking a little bit of a tightrope, it seems like.
Like, I know you're a big separation of church and state guy. I'm a big golden rule person. Like, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So I don't want to be like, I'll make people uncomfortable about my Christianity at work, just like I wouldn't want to be made uncomfortable by somebody who was of a different faith or no faith, the kind of a thing. So I personally understand why some part of the population is celebrating this shift and this news. That's fantastic. And I also understand the people who would be concerned or feel like this could be a gray area.
I don't really honestly care one way or the other. Like, I don't really like have a strong opinion of, I don't think they should have written this memo.
Emily, he doesn't care about content you're bringing to the show.
I think it's interesting. Like, I think it's certainly, I care about it in the sense that it's interesting to discuss, but in terms of like, it doesn't,
Well, the law and the policy really didn't change. It's just literally the tone of it. But talk to your coworker versus maybe don't talk to your coworker.
Idea, but to your point, Cameron, like the idea is like that this even has to be addressed. That like, if an employee, if a discussion around why someone's faith is correct, or that you should rethink your religious views, if it necessitates that. However, if the non-adherent requests attempts to stop, the employee should honor the request. I feel like that shouldn't have to be put into a memo. I feel like
Listen,
you're not doing something right here.
Hey,
if someone says,
there's a lot of weird federal employees, dude. You've been to the IRS offices? I mean, you know what I'm saying? They don't read the social cues like the rest of us.
Yeah, but your point, Cameron, to like, is your method of evangelism very effective if the person's saying, I don't want to talk about this right now, and you can't read the room? Like,
have you been downtown on a Saturday night with the street preachers on the corner and telling everybody who is, if you're walking on a sidewalk in downtown Orlando on a Saturday night, you will be told by somebody on a megaphone, you're going to hell, you know? And it's like, so I don't know, like there's a lot of people who don't read the room is all I'm saying.
But my point is this. What part of this sparked the memo? Was it the former or the latter? Was it like, oh, I should be able to talk to people? Or is it the latter, like, hey, you can talk to people, but if they say stop. That's, to me, kind of the more interesting thing. It's like... Which
it said polite too. It's like you had to be polite.
Yeah.
It's Emily, your thing of don't be a jerk about it.
So what sparked the memo here? You know?
Every rule is because something happened, right? Nobody's making up rules for no reason, you know?
Yeah.
Because I could, like, let's say I'm on the other side of this. Okay, I could have I could write the headline. People have to stop talking to you about faith if you politely tell them to stop in the workplace. That could be the headline too. You know what I mean? Like, depending on which way you're kind of like approaching it.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, moving on to our very last item. Professional boxer Manny Pacquiao went viral recently for hosting a Bible study every night during his fight week in Las Vegas. Manny is a very outspoken Christian. He is also one of the best boxers in the world. But he just has a really big heart for like sharing the gospel with people. So earlier this month, he announced that he would be hosting nightly services while he was in Vegas for his fight. And we actually have a clip of him talking about these services that we're going to play here.
Everybody hear the word of God, because this is life, this is eternity, this is eternal. You know, all that we have in this world, material things, fame, whatever you have, like whatever your position is, that's, you know, not just temporary. Yes. But these things, the word of God is alive and forever. Amen. And this is we're talking about eternity, eternal life. Where are we gonna spend our eternity? Eternal suffering or eternal happiness. Yeah. This very important part in every fight that I have.
I feel like I have cared more about different sports this year than I ever have. And it really is just because all these athletes are being like really outspoken about their faith. And so the only thing that's ever gotten me to care about sports before is if they were like dating a celebrity. So
or if your dad made you watch it.
Yeah, and even then, pulling teeth, really. So this I actually care about because.
So now you're just rooting for the Christians. You're watching. You're going to watch NBA this fall because Jaden Ivey. Do what?
Well, theoretically, they're always the champions if I understand how this whole thing works. So I'm kind of a front runner.
It's true. So now we're going to get you into boxing. Next is Jake Paul. We're going to get him saved.
Oh, that one's going to be a tough one for me. I don't know if that one's ever going to happen.
It's not real boxing anyway, so it's...
But what I'm saying, we got her now interested in real boxing with Manny Pacquiao hosting a Bible study. We're going to get her interested in fake boxing. We're going to get one of those guys saved.
Yeah, someone who's fighting 65-year-old men.
I am realizing that is the key to getting me to care about things is like if there's a faith element, I am interested.
Or a celebrity romance because you started paying attention to the NFL when Taylor started paying attention to the NFL.
There was a lot of couples, like celebrity couples that were announced yesterday that were all over my feed. And so I care about these random couples.
Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson?
I love that for them. That's so sweet. And then Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, shocking. And then Ana de Armas and Tom Cruise is the other couple.
That one's sad to me.
Well, first, let me preface, there's few things I care about less than this topic. But second, do we think any of Tom Cruise's relationships are real? Or any of them?
Oh, don't get me started on this because I will go into a rant. Yeah, none of them are real.
Yeah, anyway. Sorry, let's continue. Yeah, that's going to go down a path I'm not sure we all want to do right now. So
that's a separate podcast we'll do.
People are going to show up at our doors if we talk about Tom Cruise and his photo op.
And I'll stand 10 toes down. I'm taller than him, so it's fine.
He's not going to show up at your door. The enforcers
the
will.
fans are. The fans
No,
are.
the secret society is going to show up at your door.
Yeah.
Oh, though, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right. Let's wrap this up. Okay, that was it for Relevant Buzz.
Manny Pacquiao, Bible study, everybody.
Yeah.
Before we wrap Relevant Buzz, we want to do this week's
Tom
Relevant.
Cruise allowed to talk to you about why your faith is wrong? Does he have to stop?
Before we wrap up Relevant Buzz, we want to do this week's. We're kicking off a quick little segment called Relevant Recommends. We, like Jesse said earlier, where's all the independent artists and the people making original stuff? There's a lot of them out there, and we're following them all on IG, and we love it. There's an amazing scene of indie kind of Christian music right now, especially. We're not going to just recommend music each week. We'll also recommend TV and movies that stand out to us. But this week, we want to kick things off with an artist that caught our eye. He's only got 3 songs out. He's a Korean-American Christian rapper named Rua Young. He was on my For You page, and this one song clip had like millions of likes. I was like, hello, who's this? And so we checked him out. This guy's awesome. Anyway, here's his single that's going crazy right now.
Seeking his face. Let me tell you what God did. In the beginning, the light of the world established in life as we know. We know, created by dopamine features to tell us apart.
That's Rua Young. Check him out. You can follow him on IG, Rua Young _.
The great thing is it's good for not just spiritual development, but you become a better speller over time too.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, and especially in the Christian R&B and hip hop scene, incredible next generation of artists coming up right now. And some indie pop. We're going to introduce you to some of those coming up as well. Looking forward to Relevant Recommends. It's a good way for us to kind of platform some stuff that's catching our eye and artists that are worth knowing. So Rua Young, go check them out.
Jesse does bring up a good point though. Because I'm now remembering songs from my childhood where we did spell a lot in their Christians, like I am a C, I am a CH, like, or the BIBLE. Like there's a lot. We spelled a lot.
We just spelled Christian and Bible. What else?
I don't know. Give me a second to think about it, but I'm just saying, it's funny that we spelled a lot.
I'm pretty sure there's a JESUS song out there.
Yeah, there we go. That's a big one for us to spell.
Yeah. Well, either way.
Is there any spelling in Father Abraham? No.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know he had many sons.
We had a banger.
Many sons had Father Abraham.
Yeah, we had a banger growing up about Melchizedek, and that's what I'm saying. It was about a 10-minute song,
and it was just spelling his
name.
My
church wrote it, hoping to get a big licensing deal, and it's very difficult to spell. And I think that there's a silent K. Couple silent Ks. Actually.
I'm understanding why only 5 people write the songs we sing.
MICKHD silent L silent K LD. I mean, it goes on. He was not the best character to write that song about. So we didn't end up.
Was it your song? Was it your church that wrote the song Numbers, and it was just listing all the genealogy for 4.5 hours?
Yeah, it was every name. In Deuteronomy, in Leviticus.
Can't believe that one didn't catch on.
We actually got fined by the CCLL
for writing the worst song.
Yeah, they had to log it. And
what's funny is the CCLI didn't care, but somebody was so mad they formed a new organization called the CCLL to specifically sue your church.
They had to log it, and the log person got some overtime in that one. And so we got it was kind of a fine. It was kind of like, hey, can you pick up? They had to stay after and got time and a half, and so. Yeah, it was a couple strikeouts with that songwriting stuff, but
until y'all brought in Brandon Lake to kind of spruce things up, and then now it's booming.
We made $400 million. So it's great. It all worked out.
All right, that'll do it for Relevant Buzz and Relevant Recommends. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every day where we're covering those stories and a lot more. Thanks, Emily. All right, stay tuned. Up next, Strings and Heart. Join us. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold. Where our guests today are String and Heart. They're a Christian indie rock group comprised of three brothers, Angelo, Michael, and Eric Espinosa. They're from Tucson, Arizona. If you're fans of bands like Colony House, you're going to love these guys. We sat down with them to talk about their upbringing, what it's like to make music as a family, and where they're headed next. Here's our conversation with Angelo, Michael, and Eric Espinosa, Strings and Heart.
Well, it's so nice to sit down with you, Angelo, to talk about Strings and Heart, which you formed with your brothers Eric and Michael. I'm curious, when did your musical journey start?
Our musical journey, well, I would say pretty much since we were born, kind of, because both of our parents into music. Like, our parents had a Christian rock band around our age when they were really young, so when they had us, they brought us with them, and they would have shows like in Mexico and Latin America. And then our grandparents are pastors of a church, and they had a Christian mariachi, and at their time, so music's always just kind of been the mix. So we were kind of forced to do it at a really young age. It was like a chore, and we all hated it when we were younger. But that changed as we got older.
I see flowers dressed in blue, painted pink skies, proof enough it's you. Oh, it's you.
So you came from a music family, but when did you guys form Strings and Heart?
Strings and Heart, this was after I had an encounter with Jesus at the age of 17. And then when I was 18, I went to my brothers. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to make like a real band? Because like at that point, we started liking music. For me, I was 13 when I started falling in love with music, and it was because I saw like a John Mayer live at the Nokia Theater concert, and I was like, this is so sick. So I fell in love with music, and then I had an encounter with Jesus, and then I was like, okay, I want to make music like for God, for like but being authentic and being in who we are and the art we express. And so I went to them. And I was like, hey, you guys want to make a real band? Because we had like a little special church band that they forced us into that we hated. And I was like, for like an actual band where we write our own songs and, we just go for it the way we want to. And that was we formed in 2019. And we kind of were like just, learning stuff because we wrote everything ourselves, produced everything ourselves. But I would say when we started doing this full time was 2023, where we were just like all in.
How would you describe the music that you put out?
Yeah, we just been saying indie Christian, like indie music. We don't mind if people say indie rock. A lot of our new stuff coming is going to be that indie rock, and that's kind of where we've kind of been finding our sound more in, and what we feel like connects with us more, and also our audience. So indie rock, but I mean, if you listen to our music as a whole, it's pretty much just indie Christian music. But yeah, it's kind of just like, honestly, it's cool being independent because we can do whatever we want. Like, we don't have a label being like, oh, you have to do this song or whatever. It's like, no, we can just do what we want. It's pretty cool.
The skies are no blue until I met you. Now everything's new.
I feel like y'all are coming up in just a really exciting time for Christian indie artists. And I'm curious, how do you feel being a part of this new wave?
It's so cool because we've also had conversations with like other artists who wanted to do, because like people have wanted to do this stuff, but there was always gatekeepers, right? It was always like either with labels or radios. It was like, well, no, we don't play this. So if you don't play this, like you won't make a living, like unless you play the only stuff we play. And so although people want to express their art in a different way, they couldn't really. And the ones that did had to kind of transition to mainstream or kind of be in this like niche in between, and they couldn't really go all out in what they wanted. And so I feel like this new era of like the doors that social media opened, and you mentioned, you know, like Josiah Queen and Forrest Frank and others like that, I think it's been super cool because it's been like, oh no, we can't express it the way we want, and you know, like we don't need the gatekeepers, you know, because people can find music and with all the streaming platforms and all these other ways that are so accessible, and it's giving this freedom for younger artists to just be like, oh, like I can write as authentic as I want to be. I don't need to tiptoe around these lines or whatever. Like I feel like with our generation too, that's just kind of like what we want, you know, whether you follow Jesus or not, you just want authenticity. I mean, we see comments like in our comment section, and also Josiah has said in his as well, just like, hey, like I don't follow Jesus, but this is sick, like I like this. And you know, it's been really cool, this new, I would say, like wave of Christian music of just like, you know, people being able to express their art the way they want to. I think it's been really cool, and we've been definitely enjoying the fruits of that, and just being able to just, you know, like write authentically and just be like, no, this is where we want to go, you know.
Burning in my soul, embers on my bones. Before I took a breath, you said I'm yours. So I was made for more than 6 feet in the floor. Consume my heart with all that you desire. Like a wildfire.
Well, I know you're working on an album right now. What exactly can you tell me about it?
Yeah, I would say for this one, we definitely been locking in more to our sound. We definitely do want to experiment with like other things. Like we have our next song that's coming out is probably going to be more like probably the most poppy one, but most of it's just going to be rock, like indie rock or surf rock. So it's going to be more like, that's going to be more of the foundation of the album. And we named it Plastic Wine because I've been trying to find a way to condense it, but basically how I came up with the name was I was at church, we were taking communion. We do it once a month at our church, and usually we just kind of like just kind of do it just to do it. But that one time our pastor was like, hey, you know, right before we did it, he was like there's such a deep beauty in what we're doing right now. Like when Jesus did this with his disciples, he was like, hey, remember me when you guys do this, you know? And it was such a powerful moment. And I was like, man, what have I been doing that's just kind of been going through the motions, or been doing that's kind of just been not the real way, in the fake way? And so, you know, when stuff is referred to as plastic, it's kind of like fake. And so I think the message of the album is really just like doing away with the fake stuff and going in with the new, not wanting the fake stuff, but wanting the real stuff, you know? And so that's why we named it that. And I feel like with our generation, it's a generation that just wants authenticity, that wants the real thing. And for us, it's like, whether they follow Jesus or not, everyone's looking for it. But you know, obviously we're just like, man, when our generation finds the truth of the gospel, there's going to be nothing that's going to be able to shut us up from stopping us to spreading that message of hope that Jesus did on the cross, and not in the religious way, not in the legalistic way, but that truth of hope, love, and grace that Jesus shows. And so, that's really the message of the album and why we named it Plastic Wine.
That was Strings and Heart. Make sure to check out their latest song, Oasis for My Soul. It's available now. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's One Has to Go. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. Okay, it's time for
One Has to Go.
I'm going to tell you 4 things. You tell me one that has to go. It's pretty straightforward. It's been our summer game all summer long. Jesse, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Mexican pizza, chalupa, cheesy gordita crunch, or Baja Blast. One has to go.
It's definitely the Mexican pizza. You know,
What?
I liked what they were going for, but it's not better than anything else you named. Not even close.
What all is on a Mexican pizza?
It's like a crispy tortilla shell with like Mexican-y things with like with like jalapenos and peppers and cheese.
They're all the
I
same.
have such a clear picture now.
And like refried bean sauce instead of pizza sauce.
It is like the old Jim Gaffigan thing. It's the same collection of ingredients here. Okay, it's a limited palette. It's just presented. This one's like flat in a little pizza box. You
Okay.
know, we can do
Meat,
without.
beans, cheese, tortilla. Everything on the Taco Bell menu is a combination of meat, beans, cheese, and tortilla.
It wasn't until Doritos Los Locos that they really, introduced something
Got
fresh.
into artificial food coloring. Yeah. All right,
Delicious.
Emily. Delicious artificial food coloring. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Emily, Target, Trader Joe's, TJ Maxx, Barnes & Noble. One has to go.
Oh my gosh, the 4 places I go other than church every week. Let me think.
And AMC. You go to AMC every week.
Oh, don't even. AMC would win this category.
Wait, they would win like you would.
Oh, sorry. I meant that's my home away from home. I think I'd get rid of TJ Maxx, which it feels insane to say.
You buying clothes at Barnes & Noble?
Yeah, where are you getting your throw pillows?
Target has clothes.
That's
the
true.
thing. Target has all these things. TJ Maxx has like the better selection, but I also live in not a massive apartment, so I really don't need to buy
Throw pillows.
more clothes or things, even though I want to, and I still will do that probably later this week.
Got it. Jesse, The Office, Parks and Rec, Always Sunny, King of Queens. One has to go.
It breaks my heart to do it, but it's probably got to be King of Queens.
I'm going to fight you on that one.
Whoa.
I mean, it is between King of Queens and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and for me, I'd go Parks and Rec because we have that style of comedy with The Office.
Yeah, but The Office and Always Sunny are untouchable.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
It did. I could like kind of see your heartbreak once you heard the 4th and final one, Jesse, as you were like, I'm going to have to get rid of one of these.
The Always Sunny, I was talking about this the other day. I don't know if you guys have watched Always Sunny lately.
Oh, I
but,
just
like,
watched the entire series. I spent the last 6 months doing it. It was a
Her
labor
lunch
of love.
breaks, literally, she comes back from lunch and tells me about the episode she watched.
Well, here is the kind of thought experiment I was doing with somebody. If and it's not really fair, but like I feel like one, they all look different now. Like I feel like Charlie Day's the only one who's kind of aged naturally. The other thing too is like episodes, they've always been a big callback thing, but like most episodes are pretty much fan service now. Like in season 17, like if my first introduction to the show was season 17, I don't know if I'd like it at all, but I love it.
Can I ask you, as a person who likes the show, I have, to like Emily, around when she started rewatching it, I started rewatching it. I, in my multiple attempts at trying to rewatch the show, haven't gotten past season 7. And it's not because I stopped liking it. It does get better and better, and it's fresh and it's great. It doesn't get stale. I just, it's almost like How I Met Your Mother. Like I get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I get it. And so like, I enjoy it, but I get it. And so to me, like, what happens from 7 to 17? Because when I, as a fan of the old school loved ones, when I see them physically today, specifically the brother.
Rob McElhenney?
No, not Rob. I see Rob on the Wrexham show and stuff. I know what he is like. But when I see pictures of like the
Dennis.
brother, Dennis, it's shocking. How is he? Because now they are just full-on middle-aged adults. And I'm going, the whole thing of them in their 20s and early 30s is Arrested Development, and like they're juveniles in their adult bodies. Now they're full-on middle-aged adults. Are they still the same characters, or has their lives evolved?
No, they don't grow at all. Like,
but are they doing the bar still, like 17 years later?
But
no way.
To me, that's kind of funny. Like that, you know, because their whole thing is they're never going to grow. They're never going to learn a lesson. You know what I mean? Like it's Seinfeldian in that way. Right,
but it was believable when they were that age. It's not believable when I'm looking at them.
No, it's still believable because they are still kind of the worst people in Philly.
But I would say that I mean, there's always been a degree of cartoonishness. It just got more cartoony. Like I feel like as it's gone on, like your ability to suspend disbelief like cranks up considerably as the series goes on, and it almost becomes self-parody.
But are they doing things of like, I bought a blimp, or are they doing things like we're poor and struggling and broke like we were 10 years ago?
So here's an example of plotline. It's much more, I feel like, attuned to like the moment than it used to be. It always has to some degree, but like, so like an example of plotline would be like, they realize that slap boxing or slap fighting, you know, where two people stand, is big, so they start a slap boxing competition at the bar to get people to come to the bar, and they're going to give away a Cybertruck, but then they all decide they want to keep the Cybertruck, and so they have to bring in a ringer to try to win the slap boxing contest. You know what I mean? Like it's just totally attuned to whatever is happening. Or like they did like a January 6th parody a couple years ago. Like it is just attuned to whatever's happening in culture and on the internet now.
So it's a live action South Park.
Essentially.
Yeah. It was interesting as I was watching it, because I could tell, like without even looking at when the episode premiered, I could kind of tell when these episodes had dropped, because it was like, oh, you're commenting on the 2020 pandemic, you're commenting on January 6th. Like you can, like without having to explicitly state it, I can tell kind of what they're doing, which I enjoy. I think it's interesting.
That makes sense of like, because that's what my question essentially was, is how in the world, because like for the first 7 seasons nothing changed. Charlie was always living this, they had this roommate, they were all broke, whatever, and it's like nothing progressed. Now the bar's doing well enough that they're buying Cybertrucks for an event, and
well, it's still Danny DeVito, like they're still like
he's still got money. But I'm just saying, like the fact that they aren't trying to do, we are young, slumming it, 20 somethings, we are now, the narratives are more current event driven. That makes sense to me. Keep the show fresh.
I do feel like they make jokes too about them being middle-aged every now, like especially Dennis, as he has his dating.
But that's what I mean.
Life,
it's self-parody. It's so self-referential that like they kind of almost are winking at the camera, like, "Yep, we're doing it, but we're doing it so we can make fun of how Gen Z is obsessed with 9/11 conspiracies." You know what I mean? Like the Abbott Elementary crossover. That's literally a plot line. It's like, these kids don't even know about 9/11. They think, you know, and then they just rant and end up developing their own conspiracy theories. It's still smart commentary on what's happening. It's just not the same show that it was when it started.
Maybe I should yeah.
I'm telling you, it was. I watched all 16 seasons and just on my lunch breaks mostly, and it was a labor of love. And I'm glad I did it.
Was there an ebbs and flows to it? Was it like there was a lull in seasons XYZ, but then it really picks up again, or was it just consistently good?
I feel like it was consistently good. I do feel like within each season, there were definitely way better episodes than like it wasn't like every single episode was a heavy hitter, but within each season, it was like, okay, this was a really good episode. Like,
got it.
It'll have that, yeah.
Because it's not like The Simpsons where it's like this was a down era, this was an up era. Got it.
Yeah.
But like you could see him tracking more in this, like around the time they did the one about the social network where they get shushed and they have to use, it's a whole commentary on Facebook and social media and disconnection, or like they did a whole thing on like Dave and Buster's Bucks one time. Like they're tapping into the comedy was no longer based in, oh man, well, how is the gang gonna hustle up money or be dirtbags? It's what dumb thing is happening in our world that we can, to your point, Cameron, like basically make a South Park episode in the Always Sunny world. That is what it is now, All
right, that's smart. Good for them. Yeah. All right, we're going to have to wrap real quick. Let's see, Emily, New Girl, 30 Rock, Modern Family, or Friends? One has to go.
Oh, geez.
That's easy.
This is so easy.
Here's the thing. I think I'm going to pick something that you guys are going to hate because I'm going to get rid of New Girl.
You're no longer allowed to be on the show.
Emily, it's the one with the laugh track. Let's say that is not
I know y'all hate Friends. Listen, I grew up on Friends.
Next week, I'm calling it now. Me, Jesse, Derek. I'm just saying as punishment. You know how a pro player, they cross the line, they get suspended for a game? Yeah. Emily, you just got suspended for a game. Yeah. New Girl is the wrong answer.
Okay, well, I understand that sports analogy now because I'm really into sports this year.
You know when a Christian talks to the ref and gets kicked out and he gets suspended for a game? Yeah, that's it.
Listen, I grew up on Friends. I love Friends. Like my mom and I, we would watch it together.
Listen.
And as an adult, it's funnier now because I actually get a lot of the jokes that I did not get as a kid.
My church got suspended for 3 Sundays for a CCLI violation. So... full suspension
because of your Deuteronomy song that took 12 hours to sing.
The Melchizedek.
And we turns out we did some bookkeeping and we owe Brandon Lake quite a bit of money, and so they hard suspension now. We've reallocated the building fund
to the Brandon Lake fund.
Yeah,
all right, last round. Here we go. Jesse, Green Day, 5 Iron Frenzy, The Killers, or Weezer? One has to go.
Man, it breaks my heart, but it's got to be Green Day. I don't feel like, for sure.
When I put that list together, I knew that'd be the one that you picked.
I do, but I could still see the light in your eyes kind of die out a little bit.
There like Dookie was huge when I was,
Sorry,
12.
say that again.
They had their breakout album, Dookie. Was very huge.
That's not real. Stop.
It's very real.
It is. It's a seminal. It's. I would say that's the most. I would say even before like Blink-182, that is the album that kind of ushered in pop punk to the mainstream.
Totally
if you listen
agree.
to it, you'll recognize most of those songs.
She only knows Green Day from like
American Idiot.
senior videos of like those are the best times of our lives.
Good riddance.
No, that was our senior song, and I was so mad because someone suggested it as a joke, and then we voted on it, and somehow it got the most. I was really annoyed. I wanted a Boyz II Men song.
All right, last one. Here we go. End of the road. I'll make love to you. You want? I want.
No, I wanted End of the
Road. You have to say this specific song. All right, last one. Louisa May Alcott, Jane Austen, the Bronte sisters, or Emily Dickinson. One has to go.
Okay.
Jesse has hard feelings about this one.
Yeah, I'm sure. I genuinely love poetry, so I will keep Emily. I have to keep Louisa because she gave me Little Women. Me specifically.
Can she give me Little Women? I need. Sorry, go ahead.
Take that one out. Then it's gonna be between Jane or the Bronte sisters. I think I'm gonna go with the Bronte sisters because Jane, while I did not like the book Pride and Prejudice, I did love the 2005 film Pride and Prejudice.
Good reason.
So I'll keep her around.
Butterfly effect. You had the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like her work, but I liked the work based on her work.
Yeah, I liked the modern adaptation of it.
Got it. The improvement on her work.
Yes, yes.
She wrote the rough draft. Got it. Okay. Well, that'll do it for
One has to go.
Well, many thanks to Strings and Heart for joining us today. Make sure to check out their music wherever you get your music. Their latest single is called Oasis for My Soul. They're great. Also, make sure to follow Relevant Podcast on IG. We're posting One Has to Goes. You can play along with us. We're posting clips of the show as well. And also follow Relevant Magazine on IG and all the platforms for the latest content we're publishing at the intersection of faith, culture, life, justice, all the good stuff. We're posting every day. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you next Friday. Well, you won't see Emily. She's gone timeout.
Wah, wah.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Make sure to check out our coverage at the intersection of faith, life, and culture every day at relevantmagazine.com. And while you're there, don't miss our latest digital issue. Issue 116 features Nate Bargatze, Connor Price, and a lot more. And don't forget Relevant Plus. It's the best way to experience our content, including ad-free reading, an ad-free version of this podcast, and more. You can get all the info and sign up at relevantmagazine.com.
MICKHD, silent L, silent K, LD. I mean, it goes on.
Relevant Podcast Network.